This is Jeffrey Harris, and we are back for the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. Sorry we've been off for a few weeks, but we've been very busy. We had to bring you some D23 Expo coverage, but we are back this week, and we are going to have more coverage from Starrcast III. Live from Starrcast, we will have Joseph Lee reporting there, and also at AEW All Out. So it's going to be a huge weekend of coverage for us here at 411 Mania, at 411 Wrestling. But first, on the podcast, we have the one and only Mike Weber, the CEO of FITE TV, who is streaming and broadcasting Starrcast III this week. Mike, how would you describe your anticipation level for Starrcast III right now?
Well, Starrcast 3 is going to be pretty cool. I mean, we've now done two, done very well with them. Very exciting programming. This is a little more focused one. It doesn't have quite the broad strokes that we've had in the past ones with so many different ones, but we got some damn good ones coming up this weekend here, and it should be great. With CM Punk being the at the end, ending the whole series of shows there. That podcast will, that segment will not only be on on FITE, will also be on regular pay-per-view, and we're real excited about that. And it really sort of sets up everything that FITE's all about with wrestling, because not only do we have Starrcast this weekend, we're also making All Out available around the world outside the U.S. on FITE, also on the Sony PlayStation in the U.S. We also have the New Japan Royal Quest from London that morning, or actually that like noon that day. It's going to be quite a wrestling weekend on FITE.
A lot going on with FITE TV right now. You guys are all over the place. You guys have a lot of great content coming up. It sounds very exciting.
Yeah, there is. It's Ring of Honor. We got another Game Changer wrestling show this weekend. That should be interesting. We got AAA in 3 weeks. It just doesn't stop all the great wrestling content that's on FITE.
Now, I went to the second Starrcast in Las Vegas. I thought it was very well organized. I thought it was well put together. I think you did a great job putting together the panels and having them run smoothly, having great speakers for the panel and moderators. Can you talk about putting that together at all? Does FITE TV have any input with that? Does the founder and organizer of Starrcast, Conrad Thompson, does he mainly put that together, or do you get involved with that as well?
Well, we do get involved a little bit, but all the credit really needs to go to Conrad. He just has great ideas of putting the right mix of people on the panel discussions and organizing it. Yeah, I couldn't be happier working with him, because he just knows how to get it done, and it's well organized. I mean, he's been in Chicago since Sunday, I believe, getting ready for this weekend show. So it's all about prep and organizing. And as you probably know, he has one or two other things he does in his life than just Starrcast. But he seems to get it all done. I'm pretty sure he does not ever sleep.
Are you getting any sleep right now, Mike? Because, I appreciate you coming to speak with us just a few days before you guys are about to have this big broadcasting weekend with so many shows. How are you doing right now?
Well, I'm doing really good. Fortunately for us, practice makes perfect. And we've now done over 2,500 live shows since we launched 3.5 years ago. So we do a lot of events every weekend. This is a pretty typical weekend almost. We got a little bit more going on. But as you know, FITE is not only about wrestling, it's about boxing and MMA events as well. So we've done, I think our record right now is we've done 49 live shows in one single weekend. I think this weekend we're only doing about 20. So it's a regular weekend. It's a good weekend. We're excited about it. They're all good weekends. But, we do a lot of content. So from our standpoint, this is business as usual, and that's one of the reasons we're able to deliver such good programs.
Excuse me. So what really impressed me during my first Starrcast was having gentlemen like Sean Mooney. You had Tony Schiavone there, Davey Crockett, to kind of handle sort of presenting the show and being the speakers for the show. And I thought they brought really just a great level of sort of class and prestige to all the events that were broadcast at the convention. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I loved it. I've been in wrestling over 30 years, so reconnecting with Sean and Tony and David was just fantastic. For me personally, I think every person I met there is every person I ever worked with in wrestling. And I think the fans can relate to that. And people do like to hear the names from back in the day as well as the stars of today. And I just think the mix is great. We got Mark Madden and Scott Hudson involved this weekend. Again,
right, they were there in Vegas too.
Yeah, absolutely. They were there then, and they will be there again this weekend. They're very good at what they do. They enjoy it. And that's why it works, I think, is a lot of it is most of the talents there, the announcers, the wrestlers, stuff, for the sheer joy of doing this and wanting to see their old friends that they've worked with the last 15, 20, 30, 40 years together. So it's been quite exciting.
Okay, so the CM Punk live show that will be part of Starrcast. Sorry, I'm having a weird feedback noise from my computer. Sorry about that, and I'm sorry for the listeners as well. Live interviewing. So the CM Punk, the CM Punk Best in the World live show, that's also going to be on pay-per-view this weekend. What had to happen to put this event together and bring CM Punk to the Starrcast attendees?
Well, Conrad Thompson is the master negotiator, and he was able to reach out because he has such credibility in this line of work and negotiate a deal with CM. And we're very excited about him being able to do that. I was not involved in the direct negotiations. That's where Conrad excels in bringing all these fantastic people to the platform there. And we're very excited about having him on there because we think he's a great draw. I can't wait to see it. He's going to be interviewed by Mike Johnson of PW Insider, so it should be a very good one. And CM especially picked Mike because it's somebody he trusts and feels comfortable with, and that goes a long way. And if you're talking to somebody who trusts and feel confident where you're going to probably dive a little deeper and not give a bunch of one-word answers when being interviewed, sort of like the way I trust you.
So I think you already answered my next question. You didn't get involved with the CM Punk negotiations at all.
No, that was. I mean, obviously, I knew they were going on, and I fully encouraged Conrad to do everything he could to do it. But Conrad is the one who made that work. I can take zero credit for.
So what was the thought process? Did Conrad's like, I'm going to try to get CM Punk, and were you like, yeah, whatever? Well, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Connie. Try to get CM Punk for this show. And
no, it wasn't like that. I know the value of CM Punk and
right.
I thought it was a great idea. I like his ideas 99% of the time. I agree with his ideas, and CM's, I believe, based out of the Chicago area, so it made sense.
It does make sense,
and it's just like, yeah, gosh, we can get him. That'd be great. We'd be glad to have him on there. And again, Conrad knew how to get it done.
But once it was signed, sealed, and delivered, like, what was your reaction?
Well, it's
internally?
Fantastic. We thought it was going to take Starrcast to the next level, which it has already. And we thought so much of it that we're making this event, his event, also on regular pay-per-view for $14.99 on DirecTV and Dish for just, the people, all they care about is the CM Punk interview. They got it there available on every platform available out there to watch on right now.
Do you think CM Punk might, since he's going to be at the show, it's going to be a huge weekend. All Out is that weekend. Do you think CM Punk is planning to make any sort of announcements this weekend?
I'm not anticipating any. I mean, boy, I talked to Jim Ross yesterday about this, and this is going to be one of the most highly reviewed interviews. People are trying to figure out what he said or what he meant by that. So we do anticipate a lot of rumors maybe starting from it, or people reading this and that, but right now I do not anticipate him showing up on Saturday night at AEW. I think he's there to do his appearance there at Starrcast, which I think will be fantastic, be very well received. His fans will enjoy it. What the next steps are, it's wrestling. You can't tell. I mean, it could be anywhere. I've heard all kinds of rumors out there, and I'm sure after this weekend there'll be even more.
I just think it's really amazing that he's going to be there and we're going to hear him speak. It's not something he does very often, and he doesn't even want to talk about wrestling. Do you think he'll even talk about wrestling this weekend?
You know what? It's one of those things. You tune in for $39.99. You can watch all Starrcast plus that, plus CM Punk, and find out. It's hard to say. If I knew what he was going to say word for word, that'd be pretty damn boring, wouldn't it? you want to be
right.
surprised,
I agree,
and that's why everybody wants to watch it because they don't know what he's going to say. So, yeah, it's quite exciting. What can transpire there?
Do you anticipate this could be the biggest weekend ever for FITE TV with the Starrcast broadcast and CM Punk's show?
I think it's going to be a very exciting weekend. It's going to be a very good weekend for us. As you know, we do MMA and boxing, and we've done some boxing events, which is, are even hard to fathom the number of viewers we get on those. So it's going to be, like I said, very important, but probably not the biggest weekend for us. But, more and more people are learning that FITE is the place to go to get their combat sports. And we're very excited about that. And we're going to do everything we can to give the best viewing experience to our fan base and the fans of CM Punk and Starrcast and AEW and New Japan and everybody else. GCW are all on this weekend.
What do you think it says about CM Punk that, he walked away from the business over 5.5 years ago now, Mike, and people still can't get enough of Punk and just will hang on his every word and just be rabid over whatever move he makes, whether he sneezes or fights in UFC or co-hosts a competition show on Netflix or he's doing some movies now too. What is it about CM Punk that people are still just as rabid for him now that having been away from pro wrestling all this time?
Well, he did something very important that's true in all of sports and entertainment, is that he left when he was on top. He left on his own decision, okay? It was his rules, and that gets people wanting to know what's next. It's just like, okay, I'm really going to age myself. So it's like Jim Brown, who played for the Cleveland Browns in the 1960s. He left when he was on top. He could have played another 3-4 years, and nobody would have blinked an eye. It's the right way of doing it, and that keeps people guessing and wondering what's next, because he's still physically capable, mentally capable of getting back in the ring if he wanted to. But he also was a very good master of the mic, and that goes a long way. There's a lot of reasons why, Roddy Piper was a master of the mic, and you know what? He was still relevant up to the day he passed away because people wanted to listen to hear what he had to say. So he had that combination of people wanted to hear what he said, and he left the main limelight when he was on top.
Have you gotten any insight from Conrad Thompson on how often he wants to continue organizing Starrcast events? Do you think he wants to make it a regular, ongoing thing?
I think he's going to keep doing it because he's having success with it. He does a fantastic job with it. But like anybody who puts on these things, this is a lot of work. And this week or Sunday is not going to be the right time to ask him that question. He was going to do it because he'd probably say, hell no, I don't want to ever do something like that. It gets a lot of work. But then there's the next one. We have not announced, or he has not announced the next event. Is there a possible next Starrcast? Quite probably. Because he does such a good job. It's hard for him to build up such a great brand with that and walk away from it. But guess what? Maybe he'll walk away when it's at top. I just read today that he's, I guess it's official or just a strong rumor, which wrestling's built off of, that he's adding a 5th podcast per week, and with Arn Anderson. And I know he's been working on it for a while, and that's coming out, and that'll be great. He's got such a stellar lineup of podcasts right now. And I think you probably know he has a day job, too.
Right. I was just surprised because I think I heard him say after the first Starrcast that, like, I won't be doing that again. And then we had Starrcast II, which I went to in Las Vegas, and that was, that event was huge. Going along with Double or Nothing that same
Yeah.
weekend. And then just a few months later, we have Starrcast III. So I'm like, hey, let's keep the momentum going. Let's make it maybe make it a quarterly thing. I don't know.
Yeah, gotta keep them guessing out there. I don't really know 100% for sure, but it's like anything else. The right opportunity, comes out. Let's look at all the recent announcements. Did anybody foresee that Tony Schiavone would be back, announcing wrestling at this level on TNT, or
Oh
Jim
no.
Ross? Or do you see Eric Bischoff and Bruce Pritchard going back to work at WWE? No,
Paul Heyman
never say
too.
never.
Yep.
Paul Heyman, yeah, I can go on and on. There's quite a few exables.
Let's
Jeff
get
Jarrett's
Scott
in the
Hudson
office.
back on TV and Mark Madden.
I never know. I think that might be possible. Maybe get Sean Mooney together. We could start a whole senior league pretty quickly here.
Now, because of the success of this relationship, Mike, is there any interest on your or FITE TV's part to maybe get a little more equity into Starrcast and maybe take a more active role with Starrcast, or do you like how the relationship works at the moment?
I don't know how we could take a much more active role than we have right now. We got such a good relationship with Conrad. The way it works right now, he's the one who came up with the calling it Starrcast on FITE. We didn't push him to do that, or even ask him to do it. He came up with that. He's been probably the biggest supporter out there for the FITE brand out there, and we really certainly appreciate that. And the working relationship with him couldn't be better. And frankly, you know what? As you might have guessed, I'm not 25 or 30 years old. Life's too short. I want to work with people I like working with, and Conrad Thompson's a guy I like working with.
Now, and also, I think it's great to have this around the same time as AEW's event All Out, which the last time we had Starrcast II, we had it with Double or Nothing. How is it having AEW to go along, with this event and also working with All Elite Wrestling as a promotional partner?
No, it makes a lot of sense. The Starrcast of these type of events don't really work unless there's a tentpole wrestling event there, which I believe they've already sold out, which I think is around 10 or 12,000 seats in the Sears Center there in suburban Chicago. And they've been great to work with. We obviously would love to make it available in the U.S., the All Out program. But we do have it on PlayStation. It is on DirecTV and Dish. And it is on BR Live here in the States. But on FITE, it's available around the rest of the world. And we anticipate, a real strong interest from the UK and Ireland and Australia and Germany. So to AEW's credit, they have probably built up interest in their brand globally more than almost any other wrestling brand out there. And that's almost including WWE. It's pretty interesting since this is actually the fourth event that we've aired on pay-per-view basis outside the United States for AEW. They have a very strong, consistent fan base.
This brand that AEW has built in a very short amount of time, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. Definitely in terms of wrestling.
They did a good job. They brought in some of the right kind of guys who had that global feel. Like Chris Jericho has been a very big star in Europe and Australia for years, so that helps out there. And just go, and their exposure for many of the top guys there in Japan, and it just goes on and on and on. All the guys who've had experiences outside of the U.S. And build up. Japan's not that big a country. This program's not available in Japanese. However, we'll have a very large number of viewers from Japan for the All Out program. Of course, those guys are going to be tired because hopefully they've watched the New Japan program, which is available in Japanese earlier in the day. So it's a time for a wrestling junkie just to go crazy this weekend. The hell of all these Labor Day parties and going to the beach and stuff. You need to sit at home and watch FITE.
Now, I want to pick your brain a little bit about this, Mike, since you mentioned New Japan. Not to get into the weeds, but, this to me, I see this as constructive criticism. I love the New Japan Pro Wrestling product. I'm a subscriber to New Japan World. But I feel like New Japan could invest a little bit more into developing their streaming service and making it a little bit more accessible really developing the killer app, as it were, and making it available on more platforms and not just sort of like a Chromecast app. Do you think that's something Fight could ever advise New Japan on, and how to sort of diversify and expand their sort of streaming service to make it more accessible for users around the world?
Well, we have a very good working relationship with New Japan, and yes, we have had that conversation. And things move at a different pace there on things. This event that I referenced for this Saturday, New Japan actually for the first 2 days is only available on the FITE platform, and that's why it's done in English and Japanese, and we're pretty excited about that. They have a good fan base there, a very loyal fan base. And they're looking to expand too. So, it's quite possible in the not too distant future that we will be working with them to broadcast all their programs and help them expand on their current platform from either a technology standpoint or from a programming standpoint. But they do a great job. They got a great product, and we look forward to working with them even deeper than we already do.
I think this is semi-related, but I was at D23 Expo over the weekend, and the reason I mention this is Disney was making the big push that weekend with Disney Plus, their streaming service. Now, Disney Plus, I don't know if you've heard, the plan is for the Walt Disney Company, they want to bundle Disney Plus with Hulu and also ESPN Plus, which, if you know, is the exclusive broadcasting home of UFC pay-per-views now. They have the huge UFC broadcast deal. So I guess the way I phrased it over the weekend is begun the streaming war has. What do you think of the streaming wars? How do you keep up with the streaming wars, and what do you think of what Disney is doing with a bundle? And the reason I ask about the bundle is because I've talked with another podcasting partner I have, Robert Winfrey, on the 411 Ground and Pound radio show, how whoever can figure out bundling streaming services is going to make a fortune. Well, I guess it might as well be Disney here, but what do you think?
Well, I think Disney, obviously they got the right tools to do it. They should have done this a couple years ago, started the bundling. We're just real glad they're not focusing on combat sports. So we're sort of doing pretty well in that area. But that is the future. It's no different than way cable programming was put together 35, 40 years ago.
Right. You're bundling, basically, you're figuring out how to bundle the streaming services, kind of like like cable or satellite channels.
Yeah, exactly. It's how it all started. So the model they're using is not exactly new, but it makes sense, and you got the right players together. It will work. One thing since we launched 3.5 years ago, 3.5 years ago, there was only 20% of the U.S. TV households didn't have cable or satellite. Well, that number's up to 35% now, and it's going to keep rising. That everybody has to embrace digital as a way to do the programming. One thing that we have found out, one thing we excelled is, Hulu and Disney and, of course, ESPN Plus do very well. ESPN Plus does a lot of live programming, but there's not many other companies out there who do live programming. And if you really look at it from a technology standpoint, doing programming live digitally is a whole different world than doing something that was previously recorded or a movie or something like this, because they're already set in the system. For us to do something live, we got to be able to get that stream from that building, that arena, that location, anywhere in the world, to get it into the servers, to be able to make it available on our platform and be ready for the big push, because there could be, hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions, coming onto the platform at one specific time. And that's been one of the hardest things for the engineers to figure out how to do. And fortunately, we're sort of at the forefront of that technology push. Our company is actually a technology company first, and we just happen to get into the combat sports vertical to make it mainstream for everybody.
Now, Mike, since FITE is this big destination for wrestling, combat sports, MMA, boxing, what is your stance on if FITE were to become part of some sort of bundling partnership? Would you be open to that? Would certain conditions have to be met? What do you think of that idea or prospect, hypothetically?
Yeah, I mean, business is business. If it makes business sense, yes. If it doesn't, no, we're in good enough shape. We could stand alone by ourselves. But in the whole world of business, way beyond this is, bigger companies buy smaller companies. It's just the way of the world. But sometimes that smaller company becomes a big company on their own, I worked at Turner Broadcasting during the time it got by Time Warner. And then all of a sudden, they got bought by AOL. Everybody goes, AOL, what the hell? Wait, aren't we buying AOL? And they said, no, AOL is buying us because AOL sort of had grown so quickly and able to do that. So it's sort of, and now 20 years later, AOL is still out there, but it's not the dominant force of Netflix or any of these other kind of companies out there. So things come up and down, and but we welcome a strategic relationship that will help grow our platform and make our programming more available to everybody around the world.
Now, I mean, you mentioned Turner there, and AEW does have the Turner Broadcasting partnership with All Elite Wrestling, and they have Bleacher Report Live. But do you think after the move to TNT for All Elite Wrestling, you will be able to continue having friendly relations with the promotion?
Well, we do have friendly relations. I mean, BR Live's been in their lives since they launched, since we did their first show. So they've been working on their Turner relationship, and it's always been there. We've been coexisting. The guys at BR Live is a great group of people to deal with. So we know each other fairly well. They haven't done quite as many live pay-per-view programs as we have. There's something to it. And we think in the digital space, there's room for many companies still, just like, there's room for Direct and Dish to do the satellite. We think in the digital world, there's room for us and BR Live and Sony PlayStation and Sling, and everybody's got their way that they like watching this type of programming.
All right, so since we have you on the podcast, do you want to announce any new partnerships with FITE TV, or give us the exclusive on some new shows or promotional partnerships you have coming up?
Yeah, I mean, there's no super new partnership. There is some new programming coming up that we haven't worked with in the past. One being the AAA Lucha Libre event, September 15th from New York City. Our good friend Ken Shamrock, who has made a name not only MMA and pro wrestling, is launching his Valor Bare Knuckle series in late September. We're pretty excited about what that's going to be about. The bare knuckle category has grown onto itself. Something didn't even exist 15 months ago. We're doing a celebrity boxing event, which we just locked down just today with Lenny Dykstra and the Angry Bagel Man, I believe it is. So we got a little bit of something for everybody. We air Ryzen MMA, KSW MMA from Poland. So it's a very broad spectrum of boxing and wrestling and MMA events. We got a Tyson Fury fight coming up in September. So September is going to be wild for us. We may be doing as many as 100 live telecast events on FITE in the month of September this year.
A lot on your plate. So you're not going to announce a bundling partnership with DAZN or Netflix today, correct?
Probably not. No, not. Netflix has made a very strong statement that they will not be doing live programming at all. DAZN
well, we know corporations will say one thing, and then a few months they'll change their minds. That does tend to happen.
It most certainly could. And of course, DAZN's been doing a lot of stuff with boxing. We actually work in partnership with DAZN. DAZN is only available in about 8 or 9 countries, so there's a lot of countries, since our platform is available worldwide, that we supplement the distribution of some of the boxing events with them.
It seems like you have a great platform for one of these big companies to hey, these guys know what they're doing. They're available worldwide. We can work with these guys and we can make lots of magic together,
That's quite possible. Just never know, do you?
And just one last thing, Mike, anything you want to say to the fans out there and what they can expect this weekend with FITE TV and Starrcast and what have you?
Well, yeah. If you've never been on to FITE, this is a fantastic weekend to check it out for all the programming. In addition to these great pay-per-view events, we also have a lot of free content, watching the weekly Ring of Honor, MLW shows, etc. that we have for free. It's just an easy-to-use platform. It's available on the mobile app. It's available on FITE.tv. It's Roku. It's Amazon Fire, Apple TV, Android, on down the line of way. Pretty much any way you can access digital programming, you can watch FITE. And remember, it's spelled F-I-T-E is how we spell FITE.
Great. This is Mike Weber with FITE TV. You can check out all the Starrcast III events this weekend on the FITE app. And you've been listening to Jeffrey Harris and Mike Weber on the 411 Wrestling Interviews podcast. Thank you, everybody.